And those of you who come to my card events know that I sometimes take a long time to settle down on some ideas. So even this afternoon, I was still second guessing whether I was doing the right thing, but here we are. And I don't know if you know, but Close to My Heart consultants are also affiliates now for Cricut. And so if you go to my website, chrisfranco.closetomyheart.com, and the neat thing is you can abbreviate it and just go to chrisfranco.ctmh.com. Either way, you'll get to me. But if you scroll to the very bottom of that first page, you get to see all the fun specials, but you will also see at the very bottom, the open parties that I have, which there's our virtual open house. And keep scrolling. And at the very end is that little green button, and that will take you to Cricut. And any purchases that you make, I do get a little percentage of that, so which is nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't count towards hostess parties, so that's the one funky thing. Hi Rita, I'm glad you could make it live too. I'm so grateful for all of you who are tuning in live, but even if you're watching the replay, thanks Cheryl, she said it was just as fun. One more thing though, while we're here talking about digital files, if you do have a Cricut machine, Close to My Heart also has a section called Digital Art. And I'm going to go ahead. What's different about our digital art is it is a download that you will receive right away. And so I started off this tutorial telling you I was wondering if I was doing the right thing. And that is because right now we're having a little trouble with Cricut recognizing your purchases right away. So for instance, if you were to buy the two latest packages that go with our September-October release, those I'm finding that many people have to spend at least an hour or two on hold to try and get that to show up. So right away I want to caution you about that. I'm using our Flower Market digital file, which is my favorite. I have at least 6 or 7 downloaded, but I find that that is my go-to one. So when I begin my card, this morning I showed you some of our paper packages, but I didn't get to show you the mixed in paper pack. And the nice thing about Close to My Heart's mixed in paper packs is they go with everything. So this would match the Christmas one, and it would match the Grace paper pack too. And I can even go to previous catalogs and it will match those paper packs. So I really like these mix-ins. You get one of each sheet. Again, like before, they're double-sided. So sometimes my only gripe is that I like both sides equally well. So this is similar to a color that we had before, but this New England Ivy goes with everything, and it's perfect for Christmas. And who doesn't love a plaid? I just love plaid. So, and Melissa's just commenting that, see, she has to call Cricut for these new releases. Now, if you are a Cricut Access member where you have their monthly subscription, guess what? All prior Close to My Heart, so anything that's not a new release, anything that's a year or more older, you're going to get that for free. So that's a great thing for me to remind you. If you are an Access member for Cricut, you already have access to the Flower Market cartridge that I'm going to show you next. I always love those little checks. And this little scallop is really pretty. And then the Glacier Blue is probably one of my favorite blues. And then I love these big swirly polka dots. So let's get started on my card. What I did is I cut out a couple of the sunflower shapes from the Cricut, and I'm going to use, and it's the Flower Market, I'm going to use 3 of these images. And I also found a leaf that I thought would go well with it, and I cut out 3 of them. And then I have the center. I'm wishing I had cut out the top. They have like a little top. It almost looks like the lattice on a pie. So if you had a pie dish, it would have those little cross hatches, and I think that would have added some, but as it was, I had these all done, so that's what I had. This is, I will be forthright with you, this is the retired saffron, but you might be able to still get it while there's some supplies in stock. It's just such a nice yellow that I went with it. So if you know me, you know that I just tend to use what I like. So Close to My Heart carries both the sponge and these little daubers, and I'm going to use both of these today. Either one is fine. You might even have those new makeup brushes, which look fabulous. It's just not something that I've invested in. And I tend to like to save my money, not so much for the tools, but for the paper and the inks and the stamps. In fact, until I joined Close to My Heart, I suspect I really even didn't buy that much paper. So, but I am loving the papers. And just a little of my back history. I was first with the Angel Company, so some of you that are watching today were there with me. So hello, fellow angels. And then when they closed down, I went with Amuse Studio, and then they changed the way that they sold, and so I ended up with Close to My Heart, and a lot of that is because of Juliet, who I mentioned earlier. She told me about the wonderful paper patterns that they had. So I had never used clear polymer stamps before that time, and I really was suspect of them, but I have to say I love it. I love them. So now that I've inked all the edges, I'm going to come through and just with my thumbnail kind of try and grab it and pinch. And maybe I don't even need my thumbnail. My thumb kind of helps guide me pinching it. And I'm going to just pinch it all the way around. And I'm just going to keep pinching. And I'm sorry that I can't speed up the video for you. That's one of the things that I would love to learn someday, but I'm just happy that I mastered the horizontal on Facebook Live and that you can hear me, and those are the little things in life that make me happy. So I'm just going around and pinching, and again, if you're just coming on, just leave me an emoji, let me know that you're here, do a little wave. Some of you are getting to watch this as a first live, and I'm so tickled because I know Saturdays are busy. I'm coming in for my last one, and now I'm trying it a different way, and that seems to be working really well too. So you can play with this. A couple years ago, I made a card with this same flower, and I just crinkled up the flower to give it a little bit more texture. But I will admit that this looks more elegant when it's finished. But if you're looking for kind of a country rough look, that did not look bad either. So these did not come as crimped as the first ones that I'd pinched more. Now that I've pinched them, I want to go back in and just add a little bit darkness to each of the tips, and that just gives it's going to just give it a little bit more. And not really soaking the paper, I'm just tapping it and going it along, moving it, and just re-inking every once in a while. So it's going to end up giving it a lot of dimension. I could have brought out my espresso ink and done that now for the center of the flower, but I'm just going to use this saffron on this center because I think it's just going to give it a little bit of a shading, and it also gives it some dimension. And if you look at a sunflower, they have the beautiful kind of golden yellow around the edges where the seeds blend into the flower. So I did not make it to the sunflower patch this year. In fact, I never have been, but my friend Andrea gave me a link of where to go, and we went out looking for it, and we drove right past it because we thought we knew the way and we went a different route. So always follow directions. I'm going to set this aside and just do the leaves real quick. And here I just brought out our little foam board. I looked in the catalog, we don't carry it anymore, but I'm sure that any kind of even fun foam would give you a little. And I'm just coming in and distressing the leaves a little bit. And then I'm going to also, just like on the petals, pinch them. And by doing that, I'm just giving it more dimension. And I see here as I was rushing along to show you that I did not pre-ink the leaf. So hopefully I can just do a nice job with that. I am also doing probably a no-no, and I'm showing you old ink pads. These are ancient, but when I have something, I don't tend to rebuy it. But because if you're new here to Close to My Heart, I want you to see the new ink pads to see how spectacular they are. So I'm going to be right back in 1 second. I'm going to run around the corner and I'm going to show you a new ink pad. So here you go. This is ginormous. It measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 3 inches. And the lids are magnetic. So you can stack them and you don't lose them. I think they stack better this way, that I could put the lid under like that. And you can use the lid as a well. So, and just the size is bigger. You can see the size comparison. And you don't have to, you know, fuddle with this funny knob here. So if you have the old types of ink pads, even my friends who are demos with other companies really like these a lot. And this dauber is working out perfect. It didn't matter that I had already crinkled up the leaf, so we're good to go. I am going to set this aside because yesterday when I was working on my prototype, I forgot and I had all this ink here, and then that ended up all over my card. So I can't even show you my card, but you'll see this finished one. So set that aside. All right. So now I'm going to take some cardstock, or it's not even cardstock, this is a thinner paper from our pattern paper Mix In, and I'm going to cut it to size. And here I have our little photo trimmer. And even though it goes only up to the measurement of 4, I realize that if I line it up right on that edge there, that's actually 4 1/4, so it'll be perfect for a card front. I'm going to snip that, and then I just snipped a 1/2 inch. So I'm sorry, this piece was 2. This is going to be 2 by 4, and then this is a 1/2 inch piece. That'll be my little pop of color, and that's going to be 1/2 by 4 1/4. So I'll put away the scraps, and I have my card front already folded. So my glue is almost to the end. I don't know if you can see that, but when I get close to the end, I have to keep it tipped upside down. And this is a turkey that my son made, I want to say in 1st grade. Hopefully it was 1st grade. Yep, it was 1st grade. I remember the teacher and all. So this comes in handy. I didn't have to throw it away. I can still use it. Do you still have little knickknacks and things that you've saved over the years? I try not to hoard them too much, but there are certain things that I love this pad that I have here. This is a work pad from Close to My Heart. It is a supply item, so I think that means that you as a customer can't necessarily buy it, but I will tell you that I have ordered them before. There's a way for me to do that for you. So if this is something that you're interested in, I can let you know. They're very reasonable, and they come in a big pad. It's a nice big pad here that I can work with, so I love it. All right, so that's laying down nicely. This morning I showed you one of the small Thinking of You stamps that goes inside of that floral background, but I'm going to use it here. And Close to My Heart does include foam, and it's a nice base for you to stamp on. Another tip is when you're first using a stamp and it hasn't been seasoned, you can either tap it first in Versamark, or you can rub it on the back of your hand. You want to do that gently so you don't, accidentally rip it, but it should be good to go. And Mary says, I love that you have that turkey. Mary has 6 kids. She would have a lot to hang on to for that. All right, so I'm going to come on in and put that Thinking of You right here. I'm working around the camera and I hope I'm not bouncing it around too much. And so before I start building my sunflower, I think that I want to put a little accent on there. And for that, I'm going to use this Christmas stamp set, and it's got a little zigzag pattern down here at the bottom. And that's what I really love about the Close to My Heart stamps. They always have such interesting accent pieces. So for that, I'm going to use the Glacier Blue. And I knew that Glacier Blue would work well with this because it is listed on the zip strip as one of the colors in this family. They recommend avocado, which is a new color, black, cranberry, French vanilla, glacier, New England ivy, toffee, and white daisy. So I know that going with the glacier is going to be a win. I'm getting these old ink pads up and ready. Move this to the side. Found a small block. These are the Close to My Heart blocks. I do, as I mentioned to you just a minute ago, I was with several other companies before I found Close to My Heart. So I have blocks from all over. But I will tell you that what I like about these is there is a line on the bottom. So if you're ever using sentiments or stacking individual letter dies, that's really great for lining up. And then they have this nice groove here on the side that's nice to hold on to. I think that I'm going to stamp it off once so that it's not as dark. I'll just tap it and then come in here. And I'm just using this kind of as a backdrop for my daisy. I want to just see how that's going to look. And I think maybe I'll come out one here too. So you're kind of seeing me design on the fly a little bit. I mean, I have a card idea in mind, but we'll go with it. All right, so now it's time to start building this daisy. And I see that I'm kind of jumping around, so thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to set this card aside. And I think I'm going to add some dimension to this little circle here yet, that center. And I'm just going to come in. Maybe I'll come in with the, there we go. And that just breaks up the fiber a little bit and just makes it look more natural. So I like that. And to make it stay up, here I have my leftover foams from this morning's shaker card. And that's going to be perfect to just give me a little bit of pop, but not too much. And that's kind of a hint for what's to come this afternoon at 5 for the Make and Take card. All right. I'm just going to lay that in the center. Push it till it's about center. And then I'm going to go ahead and stack these flowers. And I want to offset them as I do that. So look where I have this one and kind of try and get the leaves to go in between. And I probably would be okay just right there, but I have 3 and I think 3 would be a nice, they tell you to do things in 3s, right? Look, I have 3 leaves, 3 flowers, and it's not quite set yet, so it's moving on me a little bit. So there we go, and I'm going to just hold it for a minute. Perfect. Now I'm going to set it on my card again to kind of decide where do I want these leaves to go. and I might have to play with them for just a minute. I really like how they look. That little bit of scoring just really made them natural looking, and I think I like that. I tend to sometimes get frozen. I was telling Lisa when she said she liked both cards that she couldn't decide which one, and that happens to me sometimes. I just kind of freeze up and I don't really know what to do next, or so I could play with those leaves for a long time, but you only have so much time that you want to commit to this tutorial. All right, so I'm going to put that there. And now I can either just lift up the leaves. That way I really, especially if I really like where they are, that's what I tend to do. Because 9 out of 10 times I won't get them quite back exactly where I wanted them. And so just by lifting it and squeezing some glue under it, and on something like this I like to leave it a little bit loose anyway so that the leaves curl up. So now I can just hold it for a second. But I think, and it still can move if I want to a little. So that, because I'm working at this from an angle, I almost have to see if it, of course there's a little smudge up there. I'll get my eraser out and see what I can do. All right, well, there it is. So now you've gotten to watch me create this card, showing you how you can add dimension and just so much. I mean, that flower was really not anything that you would be thrilled to put on a card front, but by shading it and giving it some dimension, it really has changed it up into something quite beautiful. And it's pretty flat. It shouldn't be hard to mail. And this is just almost the perfect fall color, I think, with this toffee and the little pop of black, the New England ivy, and all of that. And so there you can see this card ready to go. And so remember, if you are an Access member with Cricut, you can get this flower for free. It's on the Flower Market cartridge. And you might even just have dies. Perhaps you don't have a Cricut machine. If you have dies, you can do pretty much the same thing. Remember to give it some shading on the edges, maybe kind of crimp and pinch the flower to give it some shape. You could use your bone folder and a foam. There's just a lot of different ways to make that not so flat. So, well, thanks for tuning in to my second tutorial that was live today. I will be back at 5. I have another fun Just for Fun challenge coming up. And I hope that you've been enjoying the videos that I've sprinkled throughout the day, the little challenges. The more you interact with me, the more tickets you're going to earn. And I am just having the best time. I can't believe how fun a virtual open house can be. And it's because of the interaction and the chatting that I've been able to do with you guys. And I really, really appreciate it. So 2 more hours to go and I'll see you back at 5. Bye.